That's what I saw. And I think, you have two things: awful writing and creatives attacking fans. And this is the mainstream. You don't see indie creatives attacking fans because indie creatives know that it's their bread and butter. We work our asses off to get fans, and we appreciate them. Like right away you said, we love our fans because we know that they're important to us no matter what. And I think that's what they forgot, right? The mainstream DC, Marvel, and some of the indie, those so-called indies, but they're not the indies, like people at IDW, people at Boom, people at Dark Horse, people at Image, forgot that it's the customer, right? And I'm not saying all of them, I'm saying some of them, because they forgot what's important, which is money will only come to you if the product is good. Carry on. Sorry.
Well, I'm not for certain I agree with all. What I've seen is that comic shops don't want to support indie, and
right.
I'm going to point this out, okay? And we got to talk about this because this is super important for our comic creators to understand.
Right.
Mainstream publishers, okay? Valiant used to be a mainstream publisher. I want to make that clear. They used to be as well. Mainstream publisher, Marvel, DC. And then underneath that, you have mid-tier publishers, or, they're still top tier, mainstream and top tier. I'm going to call them top tier. That's what I'm going to start calling them from now on. They're top tier publishers because they're not independent. All right. They're not. No. And that is Image, that is Valiant, that is Boom, IDW. That's all of those other guys. They're not independent. They're not. They have corporations. They have boards. They have all of this other stuff. They have movie studios. Some of them even have toy departments. Yeah. That is not the independent creator. They are not independent. Right. They have a corporation. That's the difference between it. There is a defining line. And I don't think it has to do with how much you got. I think it has to do with how much you make. How much money did you make last year?
Of course.
And I think that's what it really rolls down to. Marvel and DC are multi-million-dollar companies, or if not billion-dollar companies with their movies, right? Or, they're probably up in those ranks. Those franchises are worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Those top-tier ranks are still making TVs and movies. Independent is underneath that. Independent are people like Freestyle Comics. Independent are people like Rising Sun. Independent is people, is everyone else below that line.
Yeah.
Now, I draw a line between indie, I-N-D-Y, and I-N-D-I-E.
Right.
And IE, to me, and some people disagree with this, but IE to me are the fanzine books that are put together with pens and sewn together with string. That doesn't mean they're bad. They are just in a different category.
I thought it was I-N-D-Y was the fanzines.
See, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people flip those two around. I mean,
it depends where you live, because like for us in New Zealand, it's IE is independent comics, indie, right? Indie band, so cool. So, but the Y would always be like the fanzine, something like that, like grass,
sewn together, bands. Stapled together, made out of home paper. It's not been printed. The quality. The quality isn't necessarily bad. It's just a little homemade in the way that it's put together.
Photocopy. But I mean, it is what it is. And I've got a bunch of them.
I've got a bunch of them too. I support that market as well. So we've got to readdress what it means. And I want to go back to the comic shops. A lot of these comic shops do not want to support in the indie market. And I'm going to call both of those, independent, IE and Y. They're not supporting it. We're not talking about top tier. They support the top tier. They don't support the indie. And what I mean by that is leaving your book behind is not supporting the indie.
No.
It's not. That's no risk on you to put it on your shelf. None. If you leave behind, right? You want to help support them and help support those guys, then pay them for the copy, even if it's a wholesale number. That's the part that I don't understand. Like, you want me to leave our books on your shelf, and then I've got to deal with all of your staff as to whether or not I'm getting paid. You might not be around. I got to get approvals from everyone. It's kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
And then you tell me, if you go through Diamond, who traditionally treated us like crap, and up until just a few months ago had minimum order quantities of $4,500, which I got to tell Stu about that. They have no minimum order quantities anymore. Stu can order whatever he wants now. But the point is that they didn't support the independent market, the true independent market. And I feel that the comic shops are partially to blame for this. And I understand business. I'm in business. And I don't feel that they really support the networks. Those shops that we're with, they supported the networks. We have wholesale numbers with them. And we try and honor those contracts with them and try and make sure that they are taken care of in any possible way we can. And if they want to do an event, our answer is yes. Let's figure it out. Let's make it work. So on top of that, and they claim, those shops, they claim that, well, I don't have the space for it. I can't take a risk on it. And look, Rising Sun has great numbers. I'm going to shamelessly plug myself right now. You want to work with Rising Sun, come talk to us. Even if you're an independent creator, and I mean, if you're independent, you want to work with us, we do lots of stuff with independent creators, and we try and get your books out there. We try and get you out there so you can do the things. And we have tons of different contracts that help people out. But the shops that we carry do support us. And they actually help push our books and help get our stuff out there and help get things moving, right? I want to talk about, so you shop owners out there, and I doubt any of them are listening to this. Your bread and butter may be Marvel, but Marvel and DC and Image, the mainstream and the top tier creators are not going to be around forever. No. New things come rolling in, and you've got to be able to support the industry as it's changing. You cannot hold on to the past forever and hope that it's going to fill your coffers. That's not going to work. It hasn't worked yet. It hasn't been working. So you have to look at it differently. Now, that doesn't mean you have to take everyone's book that comes off the street. You can say, no, I don't think this will sell. No, I don't think this is the quality that I'm looking for. No, I don't want to carry that title. But you need to start supporting independent, on a wholesale level. Even if you are a comic shop owner and you say, look, I can't afford to give you, your wholesale number of, I don't know, whatever your wholesale number is, but I can give you $1. I'll give you $1 for the book.
Right.
Every one, and I guarantee you, every single one of us independent makers will say yes to that $1.
Right.
Absolutely, 100% yes. You got it. It's not a leave behind. You are paying them for their book. So, and that means that if you want to go outside and roll it up and smoke and toke it, go for it. You just paid for the damn thing. Right? And that's a sale that goes into the independent market. My other aspect of this is that I want to talk about you guys that are buying comics. You can't keep supporting just Marvel alone. You're already mad at Marvel. You're already mad at DC. You're mad at Image. You're mad at all of them because they're not giving you the stories you want. But you're not taking a risk on anyone else. For every 2 books that you buy, please just buy and try an independent comic. Not top tier, independent. I don't care which one. Doesn't have to be a Rising Sun book. Just pick up and buy and try. And if you don't like it, give it to your kid down the street. Hey, I hated this, but you might like it. Hey, here's a book for my nephew. It doesn't matter. Just buy it to try it out. And that's supporting independent. That's supporting the shop. That's supporting everything. But the true factor is those guys don't even want to give indie books a shot, independent books a shot. They don't even want to try them. And this is the problem that we have. Well, I can't afford that. Okay, but you can afford 10 titles of Batman, 10 variant covers of Batman, right? Some of those are $50 a piece. but you can't
Yeah.
give a $6 to the shop for an independent book. Who's the real problem here? You know, do you want the comic industry to die? Maybe you see it as an investment, and the sooner it dies, the more money you make. Maybe that's the case that you go after. So I get pretty heated about this because I deal with a lot of shops, and those shops I deal with, they're wonderful shops. You know, all of the Oklahoma shops we deal with, thank you guys. You guys have been amazing. All of the shops that we deal with all over the US, we appreciate it. We really, really appreciate it. The shops overseas that are carrying our books, we thank you. We thank you. We want to support you in any way we can. So I'm so appreciative of those guys. And now I want to talk about your dollar, because I've run through these things. Where you spend your dollar matters. I have a local comic shop that's 2 blocks from me. 2 blocks. And it's not 1.21 gigawatts is in Borger. This shop is 2 blocks from me.
Hold on, Hawk. I got something.
Good.
Give me 1 sec.
Yep.
1.21 gigawatts.
1.21 gigawatts. That is the name of my store. It's also the amount of electricity needed for time travel. And that's how you're going to feel when you step into my store. You're going to feel like you step back into 1985. My store is all about the comics, toys, and nostalgia. If you have that nostalgia itch that needs to be scratched, come to my store. It's on 601 North Main Street, Borger, Texas. Again, I am 1.21 gigawatts, comics, toys, and nostalgia. The greatest toy and comic shop in a 50-mile radius in the great panhandle of this great state of Texas.
1.21 gigawatts.
There we go. That's our friend Stu. We got a weekly show with him on tomorrow. Every Thursday in the US, every Friday in New Zealand. So yeah, if you're in Texas, if you're in Borgia, check it out. And like Hawk said, he's been really kind to us, and I've been having a really cool time with him, talking about comics, doing our unboxing show. So that's tomorrow at, I think it's 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the US, but it's midday here for us tomorrow in New Zealand. But yeah, sorry to you know, it was a good segue. So
Yeah,
carry on, Hawk.
I want to talk about how you spend your money, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, I have a local comic shop that's just 2 blocks from me. I can literally trip in their back door within minutes. I had a pull list at that local comic shop. I have taken my pull list away from them. And the reason why I did this is I was spending, you know, $50 or $60 a month with them, right? $50 or $60 for books a month.
And
And
this
yet,
is US, right?
this is
So that's
US dollars, right? You
so
know,
it's around about 150 because with all the taxes a month. So yeah, better money.
so I want to support my local comic shop. I do. But when I went in, and it took me months to talk to the owner, months. And when I asked him to carry Rising Sun books, he said, "Well, I said we have a wholesale, because we sell wholesale to you guys, and we'll rotate them and take care of them, and I showed him our contracts and our buy through policies and all that, and that it's not how we work all of that." And he said no. And I said, okay, well, I decided to no longer shop there.
Yeah.
And I decided to no longer shop there because of this reason. Because here I am, a local creator, just 2 blocks from him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to support indie. He only wants leave behinds. He supports indie and a leave behind. That doesn't mean anything to me. Nothing. That means nothing. I know you can't take much of a risk, but I'm not offering you much of a risk either.
Yeah.
Rising Sun books, if they don't sell, we have a full buyback policy.
Right.
As long as they're not damaged, for wholesale buyers only. Wholesale buyers. That is not retail, ladies and gentlemen, wholesale. So there was no risk to him involved. And by the simple fact that he didn't want to take he didn't even want to discuss the fact that, you know, that if these books, you know, I don't want to carry your books, right? You could
Right.
say, look, you're not, if he had told me this, if he had said, look, I just don't think it'll sell, but bring me something later on that looks a little better, or
Hmm.
you got something else in your catalog, then I might think about it. You know, that's not what he said. He said, I only do leave behinds. And
Yeah.
therefore I took my money out of his shop. So, and my point about that is this: you have a choice where you spend your money.
Hmm.
You have a choice. You don't have to throw it at anybody and everybody. You can
Yeah.
choose to spend your money with good people, or people that have the same ideas that you do, or people
Right.
that support the thoughts and processes that we're talking about right now.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
therefore, I'm one person that will always put my money where my mouth is at.
Right.
They don't want to support it, I'll pull my money. You know,
Yeah.
and so I want you readers to think about that. You can choose someone else to spend your money with that's supporting indie comics, you know, and
Yeah.
not leave behinds, wholesales. Difference. There's a difference.
Yeah.
So
I think with you know, that's what I was just saying. Like with, you know, when we're talking about TV and stuff, and like I'm like, it's like hate watching, right? And if you're buying, and if you keep buying the comics and complaining about it because you're not getting what you want, why buy those comics? Buy something else, you know, and watch something else. Same thing. So rather than complaining about it, give something else a go. And I think there's enough there, and we're doing enough on our channel, right? On this channel, we're doing enough to bring in, even the last couple of months, to bring in new creatives to show you guys who's out here creating, right? We had amazing creatives out here, artists and writers, you know, also from Rising Sun Comics as well as not from Rising Sun Comics, right? We had people like Tom Hutchinson, right? We had John Delarose, right? We had people from Australia, right, coming in, and that's what's put me to decide to do a Kiwis review comic books, right? Indie comics, not mainstream, indie comics, i.e. comics for me. Of course, things gonna say why, but that's, I guess that's in America. But like, we're actually going to do a weekly show where we review comics, right, that are independent, that are from independent creatives, and we're going to have guests that are from New Zealand and Australia, because it's a night show for us here, so it's like midnight elsewhere. But you know, it's because there are good creatives out here who are working their butt off and who are happy to sell to you, and who love you, you know, love to have you as a reader. And I think the constant moaning and I'm guilty of that as well, but I don't buy them anymore, right? So I just stopped buying. Like, the only ones I'm buying at the moment is trying to get my last couple of comics from the store that I have, because I'm, you know, same deal as what Hawk has just said. I'm going through right now with a dealer, comic dealer, right, comic seller. The same thing. It's like, I've put all my money here for years, and I've asked something, and he said, not me. And I said, fine, let me get my last couple of books, and I'm done. Same thing, right? Because you know, you only want to support those who support you in your endeavors, because you're out here trying to make business. And if you're out here trying to make business to help other people, because look, as a publisher, right, as a creator, I have other artists working on those books. So I have to make sure the book I am writing is good enough to sell off the shelf, not off internet, not off a web comic, not for free to read, but is good enough to sell off the shelf right next to Marvel Comics, right there. So, and a lot of us are doing that. Seriously, if you look at, like, I was reading Black Lotus last week. I forgot, you know, I was going to mention that last week and I didn't get around to it. So I was reading Black Lotus, So between waiting for my court hearing, because I was on jury duty. So while let's come up, it's come up. All right, cool. So while, and it's the first time I read it. Like, I just hadn't gotten around to it because I've been busy with everything for the last 5 years. I've been so freaking busy. I haven't had time to do what I wanted to do, and so I'm sitting there, and I've got it on my phone, so I'm reading it, and there's a guy there. I'm going, he goes, "Oh, what you doing?" "Oh, reading this." He goes, "Oh, yeah, what's it about?" I said, "I don't know. I'm just reading it, but what I do know is that it's from my company, my publisher, right? This is the guys that publish my books, and I show them my stuff as well." I go, "But I'm reading it." So I read it. I enjoy this freaking book. This book, right, is as good as anything Marvel puts out, right? And I'm not trying to say that because I think it's, because it's one of ours. It's part of the publisher I'm with, or it's part of my company, whatever. But because it's a damn good book, right? And it's worth your money. It's worth you putting having a read. It's quality. I was going to swear, but it is quality, right? And you gotta give us a chance. You gotta give these writers a chance, right? This is one of the finest books that I can think that we've put out, right? And there's more, right? There's more books that the Rising Sun has that are this quality, right? We've got our one, and Incredi-Girl coming out. That's this quality, right? This is this is a variant cover one, right? But we've got, this is how good quality that book is as well. The colors are like this, right? If you're saying this book isn't up to spec, I don't understand what you're looking for, because this is a high quality book. Artwork is brilliant. The writing's good, right? So you can't really say there isn't good stuff out here in the independent circuit, right? As I've been watching wrestling a lot. So second, that's where they're going from. But like publishers, right? So indie publishers, look at the friggin' artwork here, right? The colors pop, the characters are awesome. The design work is brilliant. It blows me away. And what are you what are you as a comic reader expecting, out here? Because I know that's what I'm expecting when I want to pick up a comic book, when I want to put my money down. That's what I'm expecting, because money is money, right? It's your friggin' money, so it's valuable to you. And so for me to, for us to go, okay, we're going to produce the good stuff so you can spend your money on it, your good money on the good stuff. And I think, I've always been impressed by the look of this book, but I never had a chance to read it until the other week, 2 weeks ago, when I was sitting waiting for the, to go do my jury duty or get called up. I didn't get called up, but I got to read that, and I really enjoyed the book. So, it's one of the finest books I think Rising Sun has put out. One of them. There's more, right? So, but Black Lotus is Empire's amazing book. I don't know what's going with it, or if they finished it or not. But if you even as a one shot, the first issue, it's just as a standalone. Even if you don't buy any other issues, you'll enjoy the first issue because it was just a great book. But I mean, and I've got nothing to do with the creators or anything like that. But I'm just telling you, this book is good, and I've sent it across to so you don't get a bias. Like our Kiwis Kiwis review comic book shows on tomorrow night, in a week, and a fortnight tomorrow night. So it starts on the 6th of October, right? And I don't review them. I get somebody else to review them, who's actually a collector, right? A huge collector, one of the biggest that I know of, right? And so, and reader, I should mention, not just a collector, but a reader, right? So I've got him, Rico. He's going to be doing doing the reviewing. We're going to review one comic per week from the indie circuit, publishers, because I felt like people need to see these books, these great books out here. Because otherwise, what's the point of having these great books if people don't know about them, and these great creators and people don't know about them? I mean, you've got this other one here that I interviewed the guy with the other week. I always forget Silic, Bob Silic or Rob Silic. I can't remember his name. I'm sure he's going to, hopefully he won't mind it. This one here, right? This is a great book. Where are we? Number one. Where's number one? So Alexa and Ruthless, right?
Joe Basilic.
Yeah, this book is brilliant. The artwork is amazing. If you like, sorry, not able to see that. Let me just bring it up. If you like Edmund, right? One of our greatest known creatives, right? Artists ever, Martin Edmund. If you like his style of work, and if Joe Silic, Silic or Basilic, I think it's Hawk.
I think it's Basilic, but
Right.
yeah,
So he's an artist on that, and like, yeah, he said himself. I looked at it, I said, this reminds me of Martin Edmund because he was an influence on me, right? So you got a guy who's an American person who's an artist who's influenced by a Kiwi, right? And so that's the other thing. We are having Kiwi guests on our show, on the Friday night shows, which is like tomorrow for us in New Zealand, right? And we'll do an upload of it again, so everybody who misses out on the live stream gets to see it. But we have great books. I know other people have other independent creatives have great books as well. In a couple of weeks, we've got Ben Dunn coming on, and stuff like that. So it's, we're throwing because the idea here is that unless you stand together as indie companies, right, as indie publishers, and the shops don't stand with us, they'll die out. So we've got nobody to blame but ourselves, because we end up like arguing and debating whose book's better or whatever. At the end of the day, there's millions of customers out there, right? Millions of readers and collectors and stuff. And if your book is good, you got to get in front of them. If you're an indie creator and if you're not promoting your book, then don't bother creating your book, right? Don't bother coming out here and expecting somebody else to be promoting your book if you're not doing it yourself. I think the idea that people, think that if you just hand it over to somebody, they'll do all the promoting for you, and you can just sit back and do whatever you want. That's not how the universe works. That's not how reality works.
No, that's long gone.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, why do you think booksellers have freaking signings and book readings, and they still do it now, but previously, right? They'd be out there going, the author would be going, the editor or their handler would basically go, hey, we got your book for this book tour. Hey, Stephen, carry on.
I want to talk about this real quick, and Aru, thank you for the review. I don't like to talk about our books, about how good they are. I'd much rather someone else do it.
Yeah,
so I appreciate someone else reading it, and I know you've got no stake in it. So you had nothing to do with the creative team. So being able to read it and you enjoyed it, I'm really happy about that. I want to talk about Joe Basilic's book here, Alexa Ruthless.
Okay. Sorry.
And what I wanted to say is I'm always someone who's going to put who's going to show you that as well. So Joe Basilic's book, he's part of our studio group. Rising Sun doesn't own that. That's just, we published that from guys that wanted to be united with Rising Sun. And we published it and then distributed it for them. We don't own that. That is an independent creator that contacted us and wanted to get their book out there. And we've tried to get it to shops, and we move it, and we're trying to get it. And there may be a Kickstarter for it in the future, as we're looking at how it's going to move forward. But you know, I want to be clear that we're not just talking about this and never doing anything for other independents. We are doing stuff for other independent creators, you know. So I wanted to point that out. But
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, studio books. There's a difference between a Rising Sun book and a studio book, because Rising Sun books are owned by Rising Sun. Studio books are owned by, it's creator owned, so it's theirs, and they put it together and then they bring it up and so on. And but I just think that, like, if you're a creator and you're not promoting your book, then you might as well get out of the business, right? Just forget about that. You might as well just stay on your own, just do your web comics, whatever, post online, because people out here are competing for that same dollar with everybody else, So if you want to compete for that dollar, get out and promote, right? Get out and promote, because it doesn't matter what type of book it is, there's a market for it, right? Like I said, I buy zines, right? I'll pick them up. I might not read them, but I'll pick them up, and then later on I'll go, oh yeah, that, because it's about time. It's about time now, because everybody's so busy, because everything's digital. So if it's not in your hand, on the computer, it's out there. So like I said, like I read that book while waiting for friggin' jury duty, right? I mean, getting called up for jury, and I enjoyed sitting there and reading Black Lotus for the first time. And I've had that book with me. Right, I actually have the printed book with me for 5 years now, 4 years now. But I got to read it because I was able to have that 15 minutes, right? That 15 minutes between waiting for all of us, because we're all waiting there to go up. I was able to read it in my hand. And so, I find that, like, I don't like to, like, when I have a book, I don't like to touch it, because I like to treat it well, like this, it's what we used to call bag and bone, right? The bag and the bone, the bag, the white thing, right? The back and board. So, like, all my comics are basically like this. If I had the board and bag there, but I think the industry is suffering because of, like, it's the third item, right? The industry is suffering because of the books being bad, the creatives hounding and treating readers badly when readers complain that the books are bad, and then the stores won't. And this is what I take from and what you call it, recounting, right? And the third thing is that store owners won't support indie creatives, and I mean the actual indie creatives, people who are out there on Kickstarter, people who are doing it themselves. They won't support them, and that's why we have the failure of the comic industry as the stores and the mainstream, faltering.